Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. It's December. Adam and I are going to be talking about Home Alone 2, the novelization, but different versions. That's right. I've got the Scholastic edition of Home Alone 2. It's a novelization by Todd Strasser based on the screenplay by John Hughes. Adam, it's good to see you.
Glad we get to have this.
Glad we get to have this conversation. Can you tell us about your copy of Home Alone 2?
Mine as well is a Scholastic edition, but mine is by A.L. Singer, based on the screenplay by John Hughes. But my cover, as you can tell, is a little different. It's a little bright on my camera, but yours is like the more traditional movie poster. Mine just has Kevin just looking at us like, like he's about to, he's about to throw a paint can down the stairwell at us. And, but this one is a little bit, bulkier. It's about 220 pages. And I think it's more a young adult novelization, because it's actually pretty easy read, and there was some things that were pretty different, and can't wait to talk about them.
Yeah. So we all know the story of Home Alone, right? It's one of the most popular Christmas movies out there. You got a young boy, Kevin McAllister, getting left behind. We talked about the first movie or the first novelization last year or the year before. I can't remember. I think it might have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, as the Wet Bandits. Yeah.
Yeah. The Wet Bandits were arrested. They were hauled off to jail. And here we are a couple years later talking about the sequel here. Same story, basically. Kevin McAllister gets left behind. His family's off doing their own thing. And Kevin has to face his own adventure. And this time around, he gets separated at the airport where his family gets on an airplane and head to Florida. Kevin winds up in New York City all alone. I can't remember how old he is in this story. Maybe he's supposed to be...
He's 10.
10. Mm-hmm. And he has the villains from the first one show back up. The Wet Bandits, Harry and Marv, they get out of prison. Well, they escape jail. And I don't know about your novelization, but my novelization has a prologue. It's a dream sequence with Harry and Marv, and how they're trying to bust out of jail and get back to Kevin and get their revenge on him.
Yep, I got that too.
Wow. Okay. See, now I'm really curious to know how much like our books are the same. It's somehow I'm going to need to get your copy. And you're going to need to take my copy, and we're going to have to do this again next year.
Well, yeah. Like I said, like you were saying, like there was a nightmare scene in the beginning. It starts off like, for me, it just starts off with like, the cops were taunting, the Wet Bandits, how they got, taken down by a 9-year-old kid. And in my version, like I think Harry picks the lock of his handcuffs, and like he and Marv like get out of the police car and head straight back to the house. And there was actually a scene that was not featured in Home Alone 2, but was featured in the Home Alone 3 movie involving Kevin. Like they go back to the house and they find a dummy that Harry pulls down from the attic, and it starts a lawnmower and it goes right on top of Harry's head.
Oh, yeah. They did put that scene in this book, and my copy as well. So I don't know about you, but I love Home Alone. I watch it every single year. The second movie is just as good to me as the first one, because it's basically the same movie, just a different like atmosphere or a different setting. You get this poor kid who's trying to make it, and they've got that cool recording device that he has, the
Talk Boy,
the Talk Boy, where he can slow down the recording to make himself sound more adult, which is funny how they used the technology in the film and in the book for him to get a hotel room. He had to make himself sound more adult, like he used it to act like his dad calling in to get a reservation.
Howdy do. This is Peter McAllister, the father.
Yeah, the father, which I thought that was what? Okay, but yeah, it was a funny story. the one thing that really stood out to me, there's one of the differences, okay, I'll get into, is in the book, there's the confrontation between Uncle Frank and Kevin in the beginning is a little bit different. In I think it was in the book. See, I lost my note on this one too. I think in the book he calls him a jerk or something again, but in the movie he calls him a
sourpuss. Yeah.
I think he calls him he says, a nosy little pervert.
Oh, you're talking about that scene. Yeah.
He's like, I want to slap you silly.
Yeah, I had he in my version he goes, "Hey, get out of here, you nosy little creep, or I'll slap you. Come out and slap you silly," which
which just makes more sense that they would put that in these books since it's supposed to be for young readers. So, Mommy, what's a pervert?
Well, there's also one where and the second confrontation after the Christmas concert where Kevin punches Buzz off the risers after he's just like making faces or like holding the candle to Kevin's ears behind him. Well, afterwards, like Frank says, like, "Hey, you better not wreck my trip. Your dad's paying good money for it." And in the novelization that I have, like, he just kind of scoffs it off and storms away and calls him a bunch of jerks. But I remember in the movie, he's like, "I wouldn't want to spoil your fun, Mr. Cheapskate."
Yeah. See, that's when in the book Buzz flicks his retainer. I think in the movie, that's where I was laughing because I watched the film, and that's when I heard him say little trout sniffer. In the book, he just flicks his retainer at him. Like I guess it's in his mouth. He just kind of flicks it out at him, and nobody sees it but Kevin, and his mom gets onto him and is like, "And no one believes you, Kevin." But
there was a couple of things that the book actually answered some questions for me on, because like there were things that I didn't actually notice before until I read the book.
Yeah.
And it's after they got switched. Kevin found out he's at the New York airport. Afterwards, he realizes like, "Hey, my family's in Florida and I'm in New York." He goes out and asks for a cab. And, normally they have someone out there like waving down a cab for you. Like he goes out there and the guy that, just waves the cab down just does it. And he's just like, and Kevin, he goes like, "Huh, they must not be surprised that a 10-year-old boy is asking for a cab." Like, oh, well. There's also one, like, if you, I just watched the film like 2 hours before we started recording. And there was one thing that I never picked up on, but it was the scene where the concierge, the manager, the concierge was, he goes into Kevin's room to kind of investigate, and he plays the recording of his uncle singing in the shower, and he has that inflatable balloon.
Yeah, the clown balloon thing.
Well, it actually explained how that was already inflated. Because like if he would have hurt, like, did you ever not notice that? Like whenever he comes to the door, it's already inflated.
Yeah, it's like already in there. Like he's got the idea to do it.
And apparently, like, I guess there was like he's just like, "Huh, well, while I'm waiting for my room service, I guess I'll go ahead and take a bath." And he just went ahead and played with it in the bathtub or something like that. Like, well, that does actually explain it. So
that's funny. So it does get into that where he like, "Oh, I'll take a bath and get the thing ready."
Yeah, it says that he played with it a little bit in the bathtub of the hotel room that he was in. And I have to find it. I'm actually right there.
I don't think my book explained it at all. It just kind of happened like in the movie, and I didn't even think about it. But yeah, it's kind of funny because he's got like, string attached to the hands to make it dance and move around. And what I always thought was funny about that scene too is that it's got that giant clown nose on the face. So he like sees the silhouette and he's kind of like confused, which is, I thought that was pretty funny too, because that big bulbous nose with the tiny arms that are moving. That was funny. And is that song a real song?
I think
Jerk,
so.
I think is what it called it in the book.
I'll have to actually check it out and see if there is, because I know that they the Angels with Filthy Souls is a fake movie that was made for this movie, and that then they did it again. But let's see.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I do remember that he already like. There's a scene where he was like, he just sat in the bathtub and he had like the thing inflated already. I'll have to find it, but I think it's like around chapter 6, I believe. But I also have in my note. Oh, I don't know if this one was in your novelization, but in mine, uh, it had a. You know how in the first movie they have the aftershave scene where it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like they had that in my novelization. Did they have it in yours?
I don't know. Now you say that, it kind of sounds familiar. I see. I took horrible notes this time around for some reason. But I can't recall. Yours numbered by chapter?
Mm-hmm.
See, mine is timestamps,
Oh
like
yeah.
date and time. Yeah, like December 24th, the day before Christmas, the Plaza Hotel, 7:30 a.m. And every few pages, it'll change to a different time or date. And I've got, of course, the 8 pages of colored photographs. And it's
Yeah.
funny because they insert that right into where there's an ongoing sentence. So it's like after they, and you got to flip 8 pages.
That's better.
Cleaned out Duncan's. You're like,
Mine comes in right after the wet bandits find Kevin out in New York, and like in the movie you hear him say "Hiya, pal" right behind him. Then it cuts to chapter 12, and that's when I get my pictures.
okay,
So
yeah. See, I thought that movie. What did you call it? The movie inside the movie, the gangster film.
the first one was Angels with Filthy Souls, and the second one was Angels with even more filthier souls.
That's funny. I noticed on my rewatch that I don't know if it was an error on my computer or if Apple had it censored because I purchased the digital copy. But when he says gimp leg, but it's like it cuts the audio out when he says that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, why did they cut that out? And later on in the movie, when that scene is playing again, it's not cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if it's because he says it faster and they just decided to leave it in or what. Because I did rewind that part to hear, like, did my computer cut out? But no, it was like censored out. I don't know. I thought that was a weird cut.
Okay.
And there's the differences between that movie in the movie and in the novelization. Let's see. Instead of the Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, the gangster says, "Merry Christmas, you two-timing floozy."
Oh, I got Filthy Animal in mine.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He says, "Merry Christmas, you two-timing floozy." And I was like, huh, what? I don't remember that. I looked at the movie and it was "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal."
I did find the scene that I was talking about, and I'm going to just say this is when he orders like the room service, like that mega ice cream sundae that he has. They did cut that line out though. Before I mentioned, like when the waiter was like, "2 scoops, sir," he goes, "2, make it 3. I'm not driving." I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I get why they probably cut it out. But
yeah.
it said they basically said it'll take 20 minutes, and he goes, 20 minutes. Okay, he goes, and 20 minutes would be enough time for a soak in the hot tub with a friend, of course. Kevin pulled out Bongo the clown from his dad's bag, brought it to the bathroom, and inflated it. So he already had it inflated, like while he was like in the hot tub or something.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like several other scenes where that were like shortened, or there was a couple of particular scenes that were just cut out or changed, and it was all near the end. But how I was going to ask the whole scene with the wet, the sticky bandits as they call themselves. How are those traps? How was reading them fall for all those booby traps and for years? Because mine was hilarious.
See, I thought it was going to be kind of tedious when I got to it because I was kind of like waiting for it, But when I got to it, it was pretty good. It was funny. The stuff was funny in my book. It got straight to the point. It was like one after the other. Like, Harry's doing this, and then it cuts to Marv, like the bag falling on somebody's head, and I thought it played out very well in the book.
And mine, it describes Kevin's process, like detail by detail. Like it says, like Kevin did this to the tool shed, and then Kevin did this to, poured kerosene in the toilet, knowing that, and staged the fire, the little
Yeah.
fire machine above it and everything. It described, and he called it
So,
Operation Ho Ho Ho.
yeah. Yeah.
and
I got that.
it described all of his process. But I was actually I was reading this out loud. Like my wife was working in this office during the day. I kept laughing and I kept reading it out, and it caused her to laugh too. It was just how it was phrased it was just as funny as watching it on film.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know one of the differences that I was looking out for was when Kevin pulls a photograph out of his dad's wallet to look at his family. In the book, it's described like his dad's more serious and everybody else is just real silly. But I think in the movie, it was just like a normal photo, like not anything sitting there like at a studio or anything. How this one apparently comes off in the book. They're supposed to get like professional photos or something that he keeps in his wallet, and his dad's like real upright and trying to be super serious, and everybody else is just kind of like doing their own thing. So I thought that was interesting. A weird change for the book.
I remember it just kind of being a photo too. I'll have to go back and check it out. But go ahead.
Did you get Buzz checking out a lady changing her clothes?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Like his family with relatives were checking on him, and he was just peeking out the window, like being all weird.
Yeah, he's like annoyed when I guess his cousin came in to say something to him. He's just like, "Get out of here."
That was hilarious. There was also one thing that I caught on. Now, yours, what does Kevin use to signal for the police in the park at the end?
To signal the police?
Like he said, like how in the movie he uses fireworks.
Oh, I don't even know.
Because in mine, he doesn't have fireworks. He has a flare.
A flare?
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to remember. I know that he just like slips on a bunch of ice.
He in the movie he says, "Look for fireworks," and says, "Hurry, they got a gun." And this one he says, "Hurry, they got a gun, and look for a light. That's where I'll be," something along those lines. I'm like, a light? And then I remembered, like, I didn't see him purchase the fireworks. I'm like, that makes perfect. In the movie, you see him come out of the store where he buys the fireworks. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, though, because I think back then and still now, you have to be like 18 and older to buy fireworks, don't you?
The whole gun to his face was intense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it described that he pulled, like in the movie, he pulls it out of his pocket, but in the book, it talked about how he pulled it out of a bag, like his gym bag or something like that. There was one scene that was completely different than the film, too. It was when, in the film, when Kevin's mom was out looking for him in New York, she asks for a cop for help. In my novelization, she doesn't. Like, she doesn't get the idea to go to the Rockefeller Center with the big Christmas tree. I think she was reading a magazine.
Yeah.
And she looked at a picture of a tree and she's like, "I know where he can be." I was like, "Oh, okay." It's a little different. And let's see.
Yeah, that's what happened in my novelization too.
The scene where the parents confront the hotel staff was short. Like, it was basically them saying, like, "You guys are idiots. What kind of idiots work here?" And then
he's like the finest.
It's just like the finest in New York.
Yeah.
And then at one point, like, she outright slaps Tim Curry's face, and he's trying to warn her not to go out there, and she goes, and then he goes like, "Well, be sure to bundle up. It's cold out there."
Yeah.
But
and I was going to say, whenever that concierge guy finds out that the credit card is stolen, I know in the movie he does like a credit check, like he looks it up, and in my book it doesn't do that. He just like assumes the whole time that Kevin's committed fraud.
Oh, that's it. it outright explains it in mine how after he goes into his hotel with the pizza and or goes into the limo with the pizza, he goes and finds McAllister's, credit card number and information, enters it in, and it pops up stolen.
Yeah,
And
I don't remember coming across that part in mine. It's like the whole time he just kind of doesn't trust the kid.
yeah, he was a little bit more aggressive with him in the novelization. I noticed. He doesn't actually he doesn't threaten to call the police. Like whenever he comes back to the hotel, he's like, and he's just like, it says that he's like, "What's the matter? The toy store wouldn't take your stolen credit card," as he rips it out of the bag, and then it just says that he grabbed him by the collar and everything to make sure and tried to guide him somewhere, I guess into the office or to security or something like that. But like it says like he was trying to struggle out of his grip and everything. I was like, that's a little it's a little
rough.
Yeah. And he doesn't even threaten to call the police or anything.
I think one of the other big differences that I saw and I laughed about after I noticed this in the film, and when he goes to that Duncan's toy shop, he buys like a Swiss Army knife and like some weird toy. Okay. And the price was like $35 or something.
Oh, $23. Yeah.
23. In my novelization, he buys a lot of extra stuff, including a Game Gear and like a game and a couple of things, and the price is the exact same. And I was thinking, like, man, this author has no idea what a Game Gear is. So I thought that was funny. The man, $23 or 35, whatever the price was for a Game Gear was a game. Heck yeah.
I mean, I remember a lot of people, like I've seen videos where people are like, what was it that he bought in the store? It's like, it's actually soap.
Is it soap?
Yeah, it's like a soap with like a little dragon dispenser
dragon
on the top. Yeah, and
That's
it cost $23. And I'm like, what?
I guess they had to get him something. Like he had to do something responsible, like when he went to get a toothbrush in the first movie.
Yeah, at least he didn't steal that one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, see, that makes sense. What you just said, the soap. How did I not pick up on that either? He picked out a pack of mini robots, a bottle of Monster Sap, super slippery bath bubbles, a jackknife, a Game Gear, and a stack of game cartridges. A stack of game cartridges. Okay,
Jeez.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Now I'm kind of curious. He bought a knife from a toy store.
Yeah. The total comes to $23.75.
That's like a couple of candy bars at Walmart nowadays.
Yeah, but can you believe it? A Game Gear and a stack of cartridges and a jackknife for $23.75.
I missed 90s prices.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, there was one disappointing thing about this novelization. They didn't have the very last scene, the room service bill at the end of it, where his dad finds out he spent close to $1,000 on room service, and you hear him yelling. No,
that's not in mine either.
I was like, what? Come on. Yeah, but overall, yeah. How did you feel about it?
The novelization as a whole,
I
enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was a quick read. It was pretty accurate. Of course, it's going to have some minor changes. I think my favorite change has to be "Merry Christmas, you two-time and floozy." I just think that was funny, and I'm disappointed that wasn't what they said in the film. So, like the whole scene, reading that, like I guess the novelization of that in story movie, which I can't remember what you said it was, but like I loved those scenes.
Mine was a little different. Like in the film, like whenever he's like mentioning all the names that like you was smooching with my brother, you were smooching with everybody, like Boney Bob, Cliff, and then like the security guard goes, and he's like, "It's a lie." But in my version, like it mentions it briefly, like like the bellman said, like he noticed the security guard was acting very nervous, and then he caught his name Cliff on the on the name tag, so he just turned around and looked, and he's just like,
Yeah,
yep,
I think
yep,
that's my favorite stuff with the whole thing is I'd love to see that like all those movie pieces put together again with the first and the second with more clips if they had them. But just reading it was funny because they nailed the like the gangster accent that he had
mm-hmm.
perfectly.
You see, I thought that the guy in that movie, the guy with the Tommy gun,
Yeah,
I thought he
but my
was
Tommy gun don't.
I thought he was a private detective because I thought that's what his door said in the first movie, but I guess I could have been wrong. But yeah, I thought it was fun. Like even the version that I had was it was an easy read. Like believe it or not, I I got really busy at work this season, and started reading it last night, and I was already halfway done with it.
Yeah,
And then this morning I finished it in like an hour. Like it's pretty easy, pretty engaging. It's funny,
yeah.
and I recommend it. I kind of wonder um, how rare these are. I mean, because I kind of remember you getting yours in a bookstore, right? Or did you order it?
Man, I think I got it on an eBay maybe
Mm-hmm.
because I got the third one too. I think it was like part of a bundle
Mm-hmm.
or a lot, as they say on eBay.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
But yeah, I enjoyed this novel quite a bit. I think it was really funny. Is true to the film. Um, I don't know. It's like a great introduction piece for like kids to get into reading novelizations. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's the film with a couple little minor differences, and it's easy to get through. The bad guys are scarier in this novel, I would say too.
Mm-hmm. Did you get the scene in like the prologue? Like, did you get the scene where Marv wakes up in prison and he goes up to Harry while he sleeps? He's like, I had a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it says he tries to climb in bed with Harry. He's like,
Yeah.
can I hop in bed with
Yeah.
you?
So stupid. It's so dumb.
But what would you? How would you grade this book?
I'm going to give it an A.
Me
Just
too.
because it didn't have anything that was like, this is stupid, or, it seemed like a good reading grade level. It didn't dumb things down, really.
I almost gave it a B plus because they took out the room service bill scene at the end, but like I was like, no, it's still fun to read, so I'll give it an A.
Yeah. I guess the book, my complaint earlier with Johnny saying so and so with the gimp leg, they censored it out of the book too. So it's not even in the novelization, but it is in the film. They just censored the audio.
Yeah, I think the audio I heard today was narrated by Tim Curry. Do you have that one?
There's an audio book of this.
Yeah, there's like an audio drama that was narrated by
Oh,
Tim Curry, who
I
played
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was saying the audio from the film, like they just
the
they
audio
mute
from the film.
they
Okay,
mute
yeah.
the audio as he's talking and says with the gimp leg. I'm thinking like, is that? It's not a curse word, is it?
Did you? Where did you watch it?
I bought the digital copy from Apple.
Oh, okay.
So
Because I just watched it on Disney Plus, and it said Little Mo with the gimpy leg or something.
okay, that's weird that like it kept muting on mine.
That
That's
is
strange.
weird.
Maybe they think I'm like a 2-year-old or something.
But guys, well, thank you so much for checking out the Home Alone 2 discussion. And hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I'm sorry. It was Home Alone 2. So Merry Christmas, you filthy animals, and a Happy New Year.
Yeah. And I'm going to say Merry Christmas, you two-time and floozy. Goodbye, everybody. See you in 2024.